morning, everyone, and welcome to IECC 21 webinar on high-quality data collection for M&E, organized by Evaluate India and jointly supported by Evaluation Community of India and Impact Port. Before we begin our session today, we have a few instructions for our participants. Since we are using a virtual platform, you may likely experience a time lag. In case you have a query, please use the chat function and address it to the public. To avoid disturbance, we request the audience to mute the microphone and switch off the video during the session. In case you get logged out of the meeting due to any technical issue, we request you to immediately rejoin using the same meeting link. Please use the chat box to share any comments, feedback, or suggestion for the speakers. Your questions will help us in making this session more interactive and fruitful. To help you revisit the key takeaways of the discussion today, we will also be sharing the video recording and PPT deck with the registered participants over email. So in case you haven't registered, please send your email address to the Evaluate email ID. To set the context for today, I'll very briefly speak about Evaluate India. Evaluate India was established in November 2020 by Evaluate Asia through its country chapters project funded by Evaluate Global Network. Evaluate India serves as the young and emerging evaluators body for Evaluation Community of India and aims to promote the YEEs to become competent, experienced, and well-networked professionals who contribute to the evaluation capacity at the national, regional, and international levels. Evaluate India plans to promote the young and emerging evaluators to build their capacities and expose them through networks to other evaluators to promote peer learning. And the webinar is a step in the same direction. To join Evaluate India, you may also click on the link being put in the chat box. I encourage all our participants to join the group. So without any further ado, let's move on to our session today on high quality data collection for M&E. And to share their experiences and expertise, we have our speaker for today, Mr. Vikas Arora. Vikas is working as the Customer Technical and Training Support Specialist for Jubility Inc. and Lead Training and Technical Support for Trestle Research and Consulting Private Limited. As a seasoned development practitioner with his experience in teaching and training, Vikas takes care of the training requirements of the users of India. In addition, he also provides online technical support to users from across the globe. Vikas has over 10 years of experience in public health research, data collection, and data analysis. He's been enormously involved in teaching in the public health sector and has supported monitoring and evaluation of several health projects in rural India and Bangladesh. Welcome, Mr. Vikas, and over to you.
Oh, sorry. So thank you very much, Bhagyasri, Evaluate India, and everyone for inviting me for this special webinar in today's context where we all are fighting the COVID situation from our home. This becomes more important to learn because we are there are a boom in the digital health sectors. Means people want to now collect the data over the digital technology so that they cannot come into the contact of others, and so it's my pleasure that today I am here, and by not wasting a lot of time, let's start with our today's agenda of the training. So let me share my screen. I am just starting my presentation. You guys can just stop me anywhere if you find that something is not clear to you. No need to get hesitant. And moreover, whenever you have some questions, you just raise your hand, or can put your questions in the chat box. Also, you can note down the slide number also, and can ask me the question later on when we will be having a question and answer session. So I'm just sharing my screen. Just wait for a couple of seconds. Okay, so I'm all set. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So this webinar is today is all about the collecting high quality data for M&E. So before starting the webinar, let me go through the storyline for the today that we are going to follow throughout this presentation. The first topic would be what is M&E, then different ways to collect the data, common challenges while collecting data from the field that people come across these days, introduction to digital data collections, understanding of digital data collection cycles and different digital data collection platforms, choosing a suitable digital data collection platform, because when you are convinced about the digital data collection, you now need to choose a platform. So we will go through that how you can choose a platform that suits you. Then ways to improve the quality of data in digital data collection by just selecting a digital data collection method. It is not that it will improve the quality automatically. There are ways to improve them on the digital platform as well. So we will go through this as well, and at the end we will be having a question and answer session. So before we start, I just wanted to have one small knowledge test for you. You will be seeing a one poll on your screen. So you can just answer according to your wisdom at the moment. And so the question is, what is monitoring and evaluation? So monitoring and evaluations are the options are, they are both same, they are different. Monitoring is the routine collection of information to track the progress of evaluation, whereas evaluation is used to determine the relevance and fulfillment of objectives, development efficiency, effectiveness and impact and sustainability. The third option is, different monitoring systems are determined during the planning phase, while evaluation is determined at the end of the project phase, or at the end of the project of program. And the last option is the same, both are same, only evaluation suffices in result based management. So you can just give your answer over here. So I am seeing that almost everyone is, most of the students are giving a correct answer. So it's a very relieving sight to know that students over here are can we remove? Okay, so most of the participant here are already know about the M&E. So let me just quickly go through it, or for refreshing the knowledge of yours and the people who are still not clear about the uh, uh, what is M&E. So the right answer was the B, that the different, both are different. Monitoring and evaluation both are different. Monitoring is the routine collection of information to track the progress, while evaluation happens at different times of the project for determining the relevance and fulfillment of objectives. So let me quickly go through to refresh the knowledge about what is M&E. Can we remove this poll? It's coming on my screen. Okay, let me do this. I can do that. So what is monitoring? Monitoring refers to the regular collection of information related to all project activities that you are doing at any moment. It shows the whether project is going according to the plan or not. it keeps the track of input and output. It helps the project managers to identify and solve problem quickly. So whenever if you are doing some project and if you come across anything that can create a problem for you, you can just identify it through the proper monitoring and can make the intervention at any given time. So it keeps the track of project inputs and outputs such as activities, reporting and documentations, finances and budgets, and lastly supplies and equipment. So there are so many things about your project. At any moment you just need to want to know each and everything, so you can make sure this happens through the monitoring. So monitoring is an ongoing activity that should be incorporated into everyday project works. It's not that you will be doing monitoring for the some part of the project at some time, and then later on you will stop, and then later on you will again start. So not this kind of a thing. Monitoring is a continuous process. It goes throughout the project cycles, whereas evaluation is a, it checks whether a project is achieving what it set out to do, so and whether it is making a difference. So you want to know, for whatever you have started this project, for whatever aim and goal you have started this project, this project is achieving it or not. So for measuring that, you will be doing the project evaluation at regular at time to time, not at uh, throughout the cycle of the project, because you want to know the effect. So for calculating that, you just need to wait to intervention to take place. So evolution happens at the different time when the project is going on. So you would like to check whether the project has worked well or not. If no, what has gone wrong, what could have been done better. Then keep track of the key outcomes and impacts related to the different project components. So whenever your funders ask to you that what you have done with your project with our money, then you can just give them the these figures that we have achieved these things with this particular project. So you need to know your outcomes and impacts whenever you are running any project. Then assisting the whether the objectives, aims and goals are being achieved or not. You need to assess that at regular interval. Then evaluation take place at the specific times during the intervention. As I have already told you that unlike monitoring where your interventions are going, your monitoring is going throughout the project, evaluation happens at certain interval at certain time. So this is the basic difference between monitoring and evaluation. So I hope that clarifies or that represses your knowledge about the monitoring and evaluation. So how monitoring and evaluations are connected to the data collection. What importance data collection have in the M&E? So data collection is a soul of M&E, because whatever information you want to gather, you would be gathering through data actually. So you would like to know how your project is going, then you would collect some data about it. So quality data is necessary for making the informed decisions while doing monitoring. So whenever you are doing monitoring, you would like to know that whatever data you collect is of a quality data, is it gives you the real picture of what is going inside the field, inside the project. And that's why you would like to make sure that whatever data you collect is of a good quality. And then the quality data is necessary for real and truthful evaluations of intervention. Similarly, for the intervention also, whether you have achieved any objective or not, uh, whether you are near to your aim or not, you would like to capture a quality data to make sure that it reflects the true outcome of the project activities. That's why again we are emphasizing on the quality data here, because we all know that data is an important part of your M&E activities. But quality data is much more important than the data itself. Actually, you need to have a good quality of a data for making a decision based on those data. So as it is being said that if you put the garbage in, you will get the garbage out. Similarly, it is with the data also. If you put the garbage data in your decision making system, you would get the garbage decision out of it. You will end up making a wrong decision. So that's why it becomes important to collect the quality data whenever you want to make some decision, or whenever you want to monitor any project activities. So this theory make or this line makes more sense when it comes to collecting the data from the field. If you collect the data quality data, you would make a quality decision out of it. And if you are collecting a wrong data, you would end up making a wrong decision. So this is how quality data becomes a very important part of M&E. So what are the different ways to collect the data that are existing at the moment? You can collect the data on a paper. You can collect the data on a digital way also. You can do the interviews, inspections. You can do the focus groups also. For all these, you would require some data collection platform, whether it is a paper, whether it is a digital. Then there are voice system, IVR system, where you call the participants and they just key in their answer, which is a completely automated phone system, which nowadays so many professional organizations are using it for gauging their feedback of their customers. Then there are SMS surveys where you send one SMS, a customer reply with the options, and then you continue sending them SMS till you completed your survey. Then there are lab experiments where also you collect some data. Then the web surveys are also available. You do the crowdsourcing of the data as well as uh, uh, also, and you can just check the administrative records and other things. So there are so many ways to collect data that are already there. So but when you go into the field for collecting those data, what challenges generally you face, that I want to highlight over here, that that when your enumerators are going into the field for collecting data, it's okay when you are collecting the data through SMS or through voice response or through any other means, or you are collecting a secondary data from your office. But when you want to collect the primary data from the field, there are so many challenges you will send when your enumerators will go into the field. They will be having a challenges also, and some temptation also for collecting a wrong data. So what are the challenges that your enumerator will face? So according to that, you can just create your planning, or can create a mitigation plans to address those issues. So basically enumerators jobs are very hard. They need to go in a rain, whether it is a very heat or extreme heat, or there is a snow, they had to go for their data collection, which makes their task very difficult. They have to walk, they have to catch a bus, they have to drive on their vehicle, and everything they have to do. Then they have to travel for finding the respondents. Sometimes respondent is sitting in one corner of a area, and they have to travel all the way to meet that single customer or single respondent. So all the then they need to ask them the question after reaching out there. There could be hundreds of questions one particular survey can have, or there could be a very few questions only, that makes them difficult to keep themselves motivated, because they are traveling a long way for asking just couple of questions, but it's important so many times. So they need to ask those questions also, and there are certain ways to ask those questions also. You cannot just keep on asking the questions. You need to see the expression of respondent also, their comfort level also. So, and there are some different type of questions that you need to ask in a different manner. So all these things are not very easy actually when your enumerators are in the field. Then they are having a many temptation as well, for collecting a wrong data. Like they can fake the interviews, because they will think that it's very hard to travel for asking just couple of questions to respondent, or interviewing the wrong respondent. They are just asking they are meeting, because they are not finding a right customer, or there are not ways to track the right respondent. They are just interviewing the wrong respondent. And there are they just there are so many times enumerators are also biased. They just think that, yeah, this will be the right answer. Why should I bother to ask these questions to this respondent? And this question is a little bit sensitive of nature. It might uh, 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 create problem for my respondent. So what they will do, they will just feel the answer on their own wisdom. So auto answering is also a big temptation or a big problem when they are collecting data inside the field, and that can that can have a lot of impact on a data that you are collecting. Then there are weaker incentives for quality of data. Nowadays we are in the situation or in a phase where we are just thinking about collecting data and data. We have recently understood the importance of a data. So in over enthusiasm, we can say that, or in the lack, because of a lack of a knowledge, what we are doing, we are just concentrating or focusing on collecting the data. We do not care about what quality data we are collecting. We are just as soon as we get the chance, we are just throw ourselves in collecting the data, but we rarely care about the quality of data, whether the data that we are collecting at the moment is having some quality or not, or it will it really it is going to help us or not. So incentives are also very less, because people also do not appreciate your effort. You go with a if you take a little bit of time, because you have been given a specific time to collect some data, and if you take a little bit more time because you want to collect a quality data, no one recognize it. They will just need the data. They don't care whether you have collected a quality data or not. So that incentive is so many times is also lacking for collecting the good quality data. So these are the challenges that are there in the field data collection. And after and in the field, when you are doing this data collection with a paper based method, there are other challenges also that you can come across. The regular challenge that are there inside the field are there, but apart from that, if you are collecting data on a paper, then there are other challenges as well there. So what are those challenges if you are collecting a data with the paper in the field? The first of all, the biggest challenge is that you are able to handle only limited questions. Means you can just have a select one type of question or text or integer kind of a field, and cannot collect other kind of a field that you will be able to do with the digital data collection. Moreover, then you will need a software to enter the data, uh, uh, because you just want to analyze those data. Those paper-based data needs to be entered in some software as well. Then you would like for collecting a data over a paper, you would like to print those surveys as well. So many times surveys are 70 to 80 pages. I have seen that in my career, that we have collected a survey that were having a 70 to 80 pages actually. And if you are going to interview around 1,000 of respondent, then you can imagine how much paper you will be using and how much paper you will be wasting. Then there are some you need a special kind of a training also for the in paper-based data collection, because there are not any automated process inside it. You need to train them for each and every question, each and every skips they are going to use, they are going to have while doing the paper-based data collections. Then of course there is hassles also related to the transportations. There are hassles related to the storage as well, because suppose I am collecting a survey of 70 80 pages, and I have to go for a data collection in a particular day for the 5 respondent only, then I would be carrying a bundle of 400 pages. So that makes things very difficult actually. And similarly, if you are and whatever data you have collected, you just need to keep it with yourself uh, in a uh, in a safe mode until you are submitting them to the headquarter. So that is also a very big problem for the enumerator. Moreover, as you can see in this picture, that this is a paper that have been stored for a one survey, actually means in a one particular survey this much of paper based data has been collected. So you can understand that how it will be difficult to enter them into the system, how much difficult it would be to store them, and how much difficult it would be to enter this data into the system for making any conclusion out of it, for taking any decision. So these are each problems that are there with the paper based data collections. There are some more challenges with the paper-based data collections, that you do not have any mechanism to assure the data quality from the field. Actually, once enumerators are in the field with whatever survey you have designed for them, they are on their own. You cannot have any control over that, actually. Then data security issues are there. Paper-based data can be read by anyone, actually. So if you are collecting some sensitive information and those paper get lost while transporting or something, then probably it will be a very big ethical issues for your organization, because those papers were having a lot of sensitive data. Then time to get the data from the field can vary from days to week to months, actually. Enumerator will keep those paper surveys with them, and when they will come to the headquarter, when they will reach to the headquarter, they will submit to those papers. So time is too much in between the actual collection of the data and the data you are seeing. And that too only gives you the data in a paper. If you want to review the data, you just need to enter them inside the computer as well. So that too adds up to the lot of time uh, 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 that you will consume while seeing the final outcome of your data, actually, that how your data looks like. Making decision is the still a far away from this point of a time. You are only seeing the first copy of your data when data has been entered into the computer system by your data entry operator. So overall, it makes things very difficult in today's era, where everybody wants the results uh, uh, at, at the same times, as soon as the data has been collected, or as soon as they have started the project. So these things are there. Moreover, paper-based records are required in at multiple locations, because suppose you are doing interviews in few districts, or you are doing interviews in few states, then all the data are lying at different places, actually, at the district headquarter or at the state headquarter. So if you want to make any conclusion out of those data, if you want to check those data, there are no ways for you to have a look at them. And and uh, and the cost of transporting those data could be much higher compared to the digital data collection platform. Then handwritten reports or notes that are so many times are so vague that you are just not able to read them, even if they have reached to you after a week or 2 week or 1 month. The other challenge is to read them, actually, for your data entry operator as well, and for you as well, because the each and every enumerator is having a different kind of analogy of a mindset. They have a different handwriting, so it is difficult for the data entry operator to read all those things in a uh, uh, in a in a single in a one unique way, so that there is no error in reading those informations. It is very unlikely. So if you see, generally what can happen if you are collecting a data from the field, different enumerators may behave in different way. Like this, in this school survey, you can say that that enumerator is only using a surname of a respondent, means he's collecting only surname of a respondent. He's not collecting mm, uh, uh, the full name. So there are lots of Patels, there are lots of Auroras. So if you want to identify people, it will be difficult for you. Similarly, you can see that this data has has been approved by the supervising authority also, because they don't have any ways to do it. Whatever enumerator has collected from the field, they have to accept whether they have collected only surnames also. Similarly, you can see here that they have just missed a very important entry where they need to enter the school name. So they have just missed it, and you can't do anything about it. You just don't know from which school this data is. So these kind of minor mistake from the view of enumerator can happen. Enumerator will think, yeah, kya hai, school naam hi to nahi likha hai, but it will change whole your data actually. Means how you will going to put this data into your analysis software, because you don't know the school name actually, which was a very important part of your data collection project actually. Then wrong or incomplete in sorry then there is a wrong or incomplete complete information is there. There are so many ways enumerator can enter the data. Somebody will write Vikas as a VIKS, somebody would write VIKSH as well, and somebody would like VKS. So they can just use a different abbreviation, different spelling for a single unit actually, single answer. So it makes things very difficult here as well. You can see that this 25,000 is looking like a 25 only, because somebody by mistake has put 20 dot in between those figures. So 25,000 has now become the 25. So these type of things can happen in the field. Then suppose you want to calculate the salary of a respondent. You want to know the salary of a respondent. So what had happened here? Some enumerator has collected the salaries for the month. Some enumerator has collected the salaries for a year, and your units are just shifting from one place to another place. So if your data entry operator does not notice this and puts the figure as it is inside the computer, then it can create a lot of problem for you when you are making a conclusion out of it. Similarly, you can see that a minor mistake that one enumerator has made in his survey has messed up my total data completely actually. So you need to make sure whenever you are collecting the data from the field, you need to make sure that these kind of mistakes are not happening in the field actually, which can just have a lot of impact on your overall outcome. You can see that the mean of the data has got messed up with a one single entry actually. The average expense has gone down. The standard deviation is also very high. The maximum, and there is a lot of difference between maximum and minimum expenses. So these two data shows you how one single entry, a wrong entry, can affect your data. So this is the time. So it becomes now necessary that whatever data you collect from the field, it's of a good quality and is authentic, and there are chances that this data you need to create that kind of a workflow where there lot of where there are less chances of collecting a wrong data actually. Similarly, here as well, you can see that even if people are collecting a right information, yes, there could be this enumerator was very good. He hasn't done any mistake, but the demography or details of the respondents is such like that it may confuse you. Like those two respondents are having the same name, but their addresses are different. So whenever you are seeing the data, you might feel that these two people are same actually. And when you go for the follow-up, suppose you are having your studies in multiple phases, baseline, end line, and when you wanted to uh, interview Vikas, who are living in one area one, and you end up interviewing the Vikas Ura that is living in the area 2 actually, because they both has the similar name. So these kind of things are there in paper-based data collection. It is very difficult to create a unique ID also So there is, in fact, there is no unique ID. So if you want to identify some person, it will be very difficult for you and for your enumerators. So this is all about the problems that are related to the paper-based data collections. So just wanted to check here whether everybody is with me. Am I making sense? I am going too fast, I am going too slow. Please let me know. Is everyone there?
Yeah, Vikas, I think this is going great. We have about 40 minutes left. Then we'll have
Yeah.
to open for the Q&A.
Yeah, no problem. So I would try to wrap up this within stipulated time. So, but I just wanted to check that I'm just not delivering monologue dialogue. People are listening to me as well. And
Yes.
I'm making sense also. I am not going too fast or too slow actually.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So pace is okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So now just come to know that we have understood the what are the problems with the paper-based data collection. So now we have to switch over to the digital data collections. So what is the digital data collection? So digital data collection is the way to collect data digitally by using electronic gadgets or any technology that uses the any devices that uses the technology. So these the whether they are computer, they are mobile, they are smartphones, or any other digital device like glucometer, sensor devices, digital blood pressure monitoring nowadays also available. So whatever you collect, these with these technologies falls into the realm of the digital data collection. So why digital data collection is necessary? We have already discussed about what are the problems with the paper-based data collection. Similar things are going to be advantageous with the digital data collection. So the with digital data collection is that when enumerators are not required to move with lot of papers and stationery, they can just collect the data in one single mobile. They can just go out with uh, by picking up one handy device, and they can do their data collection. Moreover, it is very difficult for the enumerator to keep the collected paper-based survey in order. They would put the surveys in different orders, and when it reaches to you, you are just required to rearrange them actually according to the date they have been collected, all those things. So no such problem with the digital data collection. The data reaches you as they have been collected in the same order actually. And risk the law, there are uh, very low risk of loss of a collected information. It is not vulnerable to the weather conditions and storage place. Moreover, data reaches on a time, which is the problem with the paper-based data collection, that it reaches very late to the headquarter as they need to come physically for submitting the data. Then there are no mistake in reading the surveys and entering the wrong information because as you have already know that paper-based data collection can have a lot of problem when you are reading them sitting inside the office, because there are so many different things enumerator can do in the field. So you want to make sure that whatever data has been entered or whatever unit has been used by the enumerator in the field is of one time. So that helps you making a good decision out of those data. Then there are difficulty in analyzing the data because the data is having a wrong uh, the data what you have received is giving you the wrong picture of the outcome or of the existing situation. So if you collect the data by digital means, you can get, first of all, you will get the data on a time. So if you want to make a timely intervention, you can just make it when the person is needing it, uh, uh, which would be very difficult with the paper-based data collection, because when paper will come, probably the requirement of respondent has already been addressed, or he has just succumbed to the situation without getting any help. So these are the advantages with the digital data collection, and the biggest advantage with the digital data collection is that it saves a lot of paper and a lot of trees. So still I am running on the digital data collection thing. Apart from the problems that you have seen from in the paper-based data collection, digital data collection can give you a lot of other advantage also, like extra field types. If you want to collect a geolocation, it would be difficult to collect with the paper-based data. Then if you want to capture some image or anything, it will not be possible with paper. Audio you can also collect with the digital data digital method. Then video can also be collected. Then the text audit, audio audit, I will talk about it later on. Calculations you can do inside your survey itself, rather than depending on the wisdom of the enumerators who are collecting the data. You can read the barcode also with your digital device. You can capture the sensor data also when you are using a digital platforms. And of course the timestamps are accurate. You can rely completely on them, even up to the extent of seconds. They are real actually, which would not be possible with the paper-based data collections. So these are the things, that these are the extra field types that wouldn't have been possible to collect inside the paper-based surveys. Even you can collect attachments also, like suppose you are collecting data related to sub-candidate profile, you can just ask them to attach their CVs. Or you are collecting the data related to any medical conditions of the patient, you can just ask them to attach the reports as well, which would not be possible with the paper-based data collection. So this is why digital data collection will be more important and a need of the hours. So because it improves the decision making, it improves the services and better and helps you in achieving the better outcomes. It reduces the inequalities, like data from the farthest place are coming very late to you, so you are making a late intervention over there, whereas the data from the nearest place are coming very soon to you, so you are in better position to help them. But with the digital data collection, the things are that data from any places are reaches you at the same time, so you can reduce the inequalities between your stakeholders. You can reduce the cost. Eventually the digital platform at the time of intervention might look little bit costly, but as the time go on and you collect the data, it will be little it will be more economical than the paper-based data collection itself. It also reduces the time taken in getting the information, thus can reduce the time taking and intervention that, as I already talked about. Then there is no need for the manual data entry, so there is no chances of making mistakes from the data entry operator as well, because so many times your data entry operator is so overwhelmed with the work because a lot of data is pouring in from the field, and he need to just enter them in particular time period, because your grantees are asking for those data. So they might mistake in that while doing that. So though no manual data entry is required, as soon as you receive the data from the field, you can just pass it on to your beneficiaries or to your funders. Then quality control is possible. You can just have a look at the data on day-to-day basis and can make intervention if required. Means you are just not waiting for the whole data to come and then see that, oh, I have done this mistake, I have made these mistakes, and now there is no way for me to improve that. So even with the digital data collection, as soon as you start the process, you can understand that this particular variable is not coming as I would like to have it in my data. So you can just make a quick intervention inside it, and just can make sure that the data is in the shape in which you want, and giving you all the information that you need. Then data cleaning is not required, because you have reduces the chances of getting the wrong data from the field, because you have design your survey in such a way that there are no chances that there is a problem in the data, that I will uh, cover in the later part of my presentation today itself. So how to make these things, how to be sure about being that whatever data you are collecting from the field is of a good quality, that we will cover later on. But first of all, we need to understand what how the cycles move throughout the digital data collection. Actually, you need to understand that what different phases you will be going, so you can make the different kind of interventions to make sure that whatever data you are receiving is of a good quality. So this is the particularly general digital data collection cycle that each that that irrespective of the platform that you are using actually. But if it is a digital data collection thing, you would just go through this cycle. You need to and the foremost thing is that you need to design your survey on a digital platform. So you would design the survey, then you will upload that survey on your server. That is the second thing. Then third thing that you will be download those surveys inside your digital data collection device, whether you are using a computer, whether you are using a mobile device or anything. You just need to download whatever you have designed in a first uh, phase. Then after doing that, once you have downloaded the data, you just need to collect your enumerators need to collect the information in those forms. It's like a clean paper forms that inside which you need to fill the data. Similarly on digital device, once you have downloaded the first copy of a
Vikas sir, sorry to interrupt.
yeah, yeah.
But we have about 25 minutes in hand, and if you could fast track to the slides with more solutions, I think that would be helpful for the audience.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So sorry if I am going too much into the things because I am not able to resist myself in
No,
telling.
sir, it's going absolutely fine. But
Yeah,
I think the solutions part is also important.
yeah,
If
it's
we
very
could,
important actually.
yeah.
So we will be just jumping to that after this. So but this is important. So there are few these are the complete cycle, and there are few different places where you can make an intervention actually for making sure that whatever data you collect are of a good quality. So last the fifth important part is the uploading the data. So when you will upload the data, that will go onto the cloud, and that can be downloaded by you at the last phase. So this is how digital data collection cycle gets finishes. And so whenever you are choosing a different digital data collection platforms, there are many of them that are available, like Google Forms are there, which you can use absolutely free. ODK is also there, which is open source. The Survey CTO, which is a SaaS based. I have a one disclaimer that I work for the Survey CTO, so it is also available. Then there are Kobo, Qualtrics, and Survey2 Go is also available. So there are many platforms are available. You need to choose one of them out of all these according to the budget you have, according to the data security you envisioning, like whether you want the data to encrypted or not, data by whether that platform satisfies your data privacy norms or not, whether it is a cost effective or not, or within your budget. Then is it data monitoring is possible with that platform or not, data export formats are compatible to your analysis software or not, or integration with other platform is possible or not, like whether whatever platform you are using is able to publish the data to the Google Sheet, to the Power BI, or your SaaS software, whatever software you are using for data analysis. So all these things you need to think about when you are choosing your data collection platform. So there is one small knowledge check that poll we are going to have here, so that people can relax a bit and can think about what they have understood so far. So arrange these phases of digital data collection into correct order. First is downloading survey on a device, uploading survey on a server, designing survey on a server, or exporting the survey. So can you just arrange them in a right order? So we are going to more 15 seconds more for the remaining of the participant to enter their answer. Okay, so as we can see that the most of the people have answered option B, which is the correct answer. Actually, the concept for the thing for the people who have answered C, please note that exporting of the data would always come after the uploading the survey. Actually, once you have uploaded survey on the server, then only you can export it from the server. So D would come before the uh, B would come before the D. So uploading survey on server would come before the exporting the survey. So right answer is the B. Okay. So now I'm coming that when you have decided the platform that you are going to use for your digital data collections, now there comes an important thing, that how you can improve the quality of a data actually that you are collecting. So quality control steps occurs in three phases. When first phase is when your before data is collected, during the survey preparation and design. You can make sure that that whatever you are doing is going to collect good quality data. Then during the data collection as well, you can make sure that the data is of a good quality. And the last thing that has been uh, there for improving the data quality is after the data has been collected actually. So there are three phases: before, during, and after after the data collection process has been achieved. So before, what you would what you can do before actually. So when before starting the data collection, you would be certainly going to design a survey actually. So you need to make sure that the skip you have a proper scripts, logical checks are there, constraints are there, you preload the data, you have a default values, trainings and debugging. I will talk about them one by one. During the data collection, you need to make sure that you are doing the spot checks, you are collecting a survey metadata that you are analyzing, then you are collecting some audits as well. And after the data collection, you would make sure to check the quality of whatever data has been collected, and reconfirms those quality of the data, which can authenticate that yes, whatever data you have in your hand is of a good quality. So paper like scrutining is also possible. You print those uh, surveys and can have a look at them. You can also do the back checks. So before designing a survey, you can just make sure that you are putting you are having a constraints on your data. You have just you have decided the data range actually. Suppose I am going to interview the person between 18 of of uh, who are more than 18. So it is not that I will just keep the constraint enter any answer above 18. People can enter 135 also, 150 also, or by mistake they can enter a 2000 also. So you need to make sure that you are having a fixed. Okay, so you need to make sure that that you just decide the range of data. Out of that range, the entering of information is not possible. So the problem that you had with the 25,025 is not possible to do with the inside your survey. And this is how you can just removing the possibilities of having a wrong data. Similarly, code skip patterns you can design inside your form itself, rather than leaving it to the enumerator's discretions. Means you have a code. If you are doing a surveying the female participant, it is not jumping to the male questions, or surveying the male participant, it is not jumping to the female question. Or in paper-based data collection, you cannot control this. Your enumerator might feel the female participant related questions for the male participant. So these skip patterns becomes very important. You need to make sure that those skip patterns are correct. similarly, you can just make questions required. I mean, it is mandatory for your enumerator to enter the answer, otherwise they cannot move forward. So when you make some questions required, they cannot just move forward without answering those questions, and by this means that that you will not have going to have a missing values in your data. Actually, enumerator has to enter something in it to move forward inside the survey. So this is the very important thing when you are designing your survey. You need to make sure. Then apart from this, you just need to make sure that you are having a different filters on your choices. Suppose you are doing a data collection in two countries like Zimbabwe and South Africa. So if somebody has selected the South Africa, then you just show them the town of South Africa only, not of the Zimbabwe as well. Because what will happen if you will show the Zimbabwe towns as well, probably by mistake, they can select the wrong answer, and that can
it's 12 o'clock.
And it can just have a lot of impact on the final data, because you have just collected a wrong data. That the country was South Africa and the town was of Zimbabwe. So you need to make sure that if somebody has selected a town, particular country, the towns that are there inside that country, that only shows up. So there are no chances of entering the wrong information, because there are so many times there are countries which can have a town with a similar name, actually different countries with a similar name also. So that might induce a wrong entry from the enumerator. So you want to prevent that as well. Then you suppose you are going for a different uh, level of data collections, like different phases of data collection. You have collected the data already inside the baseline data baseline cycle, and now you are going with the midline data collection, but so many things that you are going to be used are of the same that you have collected inside the baseline data collection. So instead of asking those things again, or for making sure that you are just visiting the same person, you can just preload the information that you have collected with your last phase of a data collection. So that also helps you in making sure that that whatever data you have collected inside the last round was correct, and you are at the right person this time as well, actually. Then there are so many things that you want to calculate inside your form design itself, rather than living on the enumerators. Like you want to calculate the plot area, like you want to calculate the age of a person, or or or, or their eligibility based on some calculation, or based on their date of birth. So rather than leaving it on the wisdom of an enumerator, you can just do these things inside your form design itself, and do those calculations inside the form itself. So if they are eligible, the question will show up, otherwise that will not show up. Then provide the default entries. If you have you believe that there are some information that are of a repeated that you have already collected in the baseline data, and you want to make sure that those entries just don't differ from one entries to another entries during the different cycles, you would make sure that you just capture that entry or preload that entry from earlier phase and put it inside that the second round of data collection. So there is no mismatch in the data in between those two cycles. This will certainly improve your data quality. Then you need to make sure that you don't ask the timestamps, or you just don't ask them to manually manually enter the data timestamp, because your digital device can fetch in the data timestamp from the device itself. Which is more accurate up to the seconds, actually. Even internally recording means, suppose you are doing some family roster. So instead of putting 1 2 3 number, you can just rely on the software that it will automatically number the family members, and enumerator can just without remembering what number they last have entered, they can just go with the flow and can enter the one by one entries inside the family rosters. So you want to avoid these unnecessary steps when you are doing this when you are using this digital method. Also, you need to make sure that you are debugging the software, you are just testing it again and again, because you want to make sure that there are no because it is a double-edged sword. If it's give you the if it give you the liberty of skipping the things on its own, it can go wrong also actually so many times that completely sections are missing because you have designed the things wrong. Your design also inducing that the male questions are has been asked to the female participants, so you need to make sure that those skips, incorrect skips are not there, some important questions are not missing, or some unwanted question has not been asked. Then incorrect constraints are there, which encourages the enumerator to enter a wrong answer. You have not defined a range, or the range you have defined is a wrong. Then impossible logic checks or calculation that survey to cross, like you like you are allowing enumerator to enter the household participants are 250. If you are going to enter 250, it will create a 250 repeat cycle inside your form design and it might crash. So you just need to make sure that your constraints are logical and everything goes smoothly. You need to check with the every angle that that whatever entries that has been possible inside to be entered inside the form designs are of a correct nature and are not going to affect your survey. And for debugging, you need to just test, retest, and test again. There is no other method for debugging actually. Use your trainings, your piloting as opportunities to catch more bugs. Basically fill out as many surveys in as many situations as possible, because we have seen that in our practical experience that we have experienced this, that even we have tested the form so many times. When it reaches to the field, there are some suggestions are coming out from the field that this has gone wrong. So as much you test, as much fault or as much problem you will find with your form design or your form programming process, and you will be filter out those problems from your surveys. So it's very important to doing the pilot of your surveys before jumping into the field actually. Then of course trainings are there. Training is very important. It doesn't matter what data collection method you are using, whether you are using a paper-based data collection or digital data collection. So it is important. Make sure that you are giving a proper training. When it is a digital data collection, you need to train them about handling the devices. You need to train them about the problem that are related to the digital data collections, like what happens if your survey gets crashed, what happens if your devices are not having storage, or what happens if sometimes you need to close the survey in between, because it is not as easy as it was with the paper-based data collection, that you just wrap up your papers and go out. So there are so many other things that you need to teach them inside the training actually. So in paper-based data collection, you might teaching them about the skip patterns and constraints, but here in the digital training, data collection training, you would teach them how to handle the device and what else you can do. Then training about the maintenance of device and everything. So training is necessary part, but it may have a different component according to the platform you are using. So once you have finished all these things, you are sure about that you have done everything you could do before starting the data collection. Then there will come the phase where during the data collection where you can improve the data quality. So there is no substitute for human observation that we still believe. So it is necessary that you have some supervisors that go with your enumerator and make sure that the whatever data they are collecting is still of a good quality, because enumerators still can make some mistakes by asking questions in a wrong way, or their method of asking question is not right, so which is not inducing the right information from the respondent. So you just need to do a spot check with your enumerator, observe them, and you just need to rotate through different surveyors. It is not that one surveyor is having a very comfortable bike, so you are always visiting the field with him only, and the person who's going in a transport in a bus, you are not visiting with them. So you need to make sure that you are rotating through the each and every surveyors, and you can sometimes schedule a visit unpredictably, so that they can just do not stage a survey for you where everything they are doing very good actually. Have supervisor fill out a form for spot checks. In fact, you can also ask your supervisor to fill the form, and you can compare both those forms to see how much difference is there between the data collection of a supervisor and data collection of an enumerator. So these kind of things you can do while doing while during the data collection. So you can look for the how surveyor is going too fast or too slow, whether he is explaining the difficult questions as well or not, whether he is listening to the respondent's answer or not, because so many times enumerators are more knowledgeable than the respondents. So they like to feel the answer on their own, by their own wisdom, because they have to go home or they need to catch a bus or something like that. So they can just say, yeah, mujhe pata hai, aap bas mere ko ye bata do, and few of the answer he just gets filled in by own his wisdom. Then, like, whether he's recording the answer correctly or not, probing the suspicious questions, answers correctly or not. If somebody is saying mera Aadhaar number ye hoga, so he should be able to catch that, no, hoga nahi, mujhe aap apna Aadhaar card dikhao, I would like to see it. So these kind of things you need to observe with your enumerators, and whether surveys and examiner towards the respondent is appropriate or not, that you have to also check in. So you also need to make sure that they are collecting a GPS coordinates or not, automatic timestamps and dates are getting filled or not correctly, whether they have a correct date entered inside the mobile device or not, because so many times enumerators are more smarter than you. They can just play with the time of the uh, device and can collect the wrong data for you. Then whether they are recording other media or not, or they are capturing they are having a correct device ID or not, or using a correct survey version or not, because as time go, based on the feedback from the field, you can just improve the different version, you can just improve the survey with different versions actually. So whether they are using the latest version of the survey or not, that you have to find it out during the data collection. You can also collect few audits, like you can just record the audio of an interview, so that you can listen it to that when data collection, when submission has reached to you, given that your IRB allows it. Then text audit response also you can collect. The text audit will tell you how much time enumerator has spent on each field. So this could be a very vital information, because if you know that my enumerator in the field has spent around 10 seconds on a consent question, whereas if somebody reads the consent question fully, he must take around 60 to 80 seconds. How could he be able to read the consent in 10 seconds? So these kind of a text audit that you can do, this kind of information give you a lot of idea about whether the quality of your data is good or not actually. Enumerator has followed your instructions or not. Then the speed violations also, you can just put some speed, required speed on your each and every questions, and if your enumerator is violating those speeds, you are getting the report about those actually. You are getting the mail inside mail in your mailbox that some enumerators in the field has read the consent in a 10-second only and has completed the survey. These kind of deep checking is also available with digital data collection, that you must leverage actually for making sure that you are collecting good quality data. Similarly, once you have done this during the survey, you can do these things. Now what after the survey? Even after finishing the surveys also, your data collection also, you can make sure that the data whatever you have received is of a good quality. For that, you would just need to check how high frequency check. whether your enumerator is having affinity towards service, particular answer or not. You can just check inside your data, because so many times what happens, that particular answer to the particular question opens up a very sensitive questionnaire section, which enumerator is not comfortable asking with, or he feels that if I answer this question yes, there will be long section will be there, and I need to ask all those questions. So what he does, without asking the respondent, he's entering the no. So you just need to check out whether some particular enumerator is having a affinity towards particular answer or not. So you can just check this out as well. Check for the errors in the electronic surveys, whether there were errors were there or not, despite doing all the effort of before and during the data collection. Unique IDs that you have captured are in fact unique or not. Survey marks are complete, which have been marked complete are in fact complete or not. Surveys number that enumerator is telling that I have sent around 30 surveys, and on your server you are only seeing the 25 of them. So where are the 5? So you need to all check all these things, because the lost 5 surveys could have important information about your respondents. Whether GPS location where they were visiting were making sense or not. They were supposed to be in Jodhpur, and the GPS location is of Jaipur, so it will not make sense actually. So map them on the Google Earth integration, Google Earth, and see whether the data that has been collected are from the place or not. Even by GPS you can even reach up to the house also, where uh, that much accuracy that GPS location with the digital data collection can provide you. So you can just find it out whether enumerator was inside the right house or not, sitting in your office actually. And then are there the surveys that are too long or too short? Some enumerators are just taking a lot of time in completing the survey, and some enumerators are taking very less time. So both are not a good thing for you actually. If your enumerators are taking too much of time, probably they are cooking some answers, or they are just doing a lot of other activities while doing the survey. Or when the question answer, when duration is too short, that means your enumerator was just in hurry and was just finishing the survey like a robot. He was not just involved with the enumerator. So you just need to find a correct timing of your survey as well, and compare it according to the uh, uh, according to it, whether it was long or it was too short. Do the date and time stamp make sense or not? The enumerator was supposed to be in Jodhpur on 30th April, but the data is coming for Jaipur town. That would not make sure. So you just need to make sure these things also. You just need to check the variable also, whether don't know, refuse or missing values are not too high for particular enumerators. You can just uh, calculate the average of total missing values, don't knows and refusal, and can compare with particular enumerator to find out whether those are making sense or not. Whether a specific value for a specific field uh, are too much high, because suppose you ask a question about if you have the business or not, and if one particular enumerator is always saying no no no, because if he will answer yes, it will open a long section about the business details. So probably he would not like to collect that. So whether he is doing these things or not. Values of experiments of scale questions, like one when you have a questionnaire where they need to enter the agreement scale, they just enter everything was very good, very good, very good. So that also does not make sense. So you just need to check all those things. And when other has been selected for the multiple choice question, whether they have answered those others things or not, and whether there are outliers inside your data or not. Because despite putting a constraint, there are chances, because you cannot put a very hard constraint on your data, so that you just miss the real entries also. And that time that sometimes also encourages enumerator to enter the any number inside your forms. They are entering 18 or they are entering 120, because you have that limit that you are compelled to put inside your form design. So they can just utilize those little bit of gap as well for messing up your data. So look at the means of variable. Are there means that seem really strange or improbable or impossible? Just have a look at that. So this finishes how you can just have a checks at various steps of your data collection cycles when you are collecting a data before, after, or during the survey. So that that brings me to the end of my presentations, where I have a last questions for you guys, that whatever I have told you would has gone through you or not. So the question is, the just you need to answer. Can we start a poll about that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So match the data quality improvement method with the data collection phases that I have told you about during, before, and after. Backcheck, audio audit, and debugging. When you will use these three improvement methods with the different method data collection phases actually. Okay, so we have already passed the 2 minutes allotted to this poll actually, or this question, and the right answer is C. As most of you are right, that backcheck is the process that comes after when you have finished collecting a data. Then audio audits is a process that you will have while collecting or during the data collection, and debugging is the process that you will have before starting your data collections, real data collection in the field. So answer C was the right answer. Thank you very much, guys. I'm happy that most of the people have given a right answer for this question. So that brings me to the end of my presentation for today. I'm open for any question.
Thank you so much, sir. These were really insightful learnings for us. And there are a few very interesting questions that have come in. I'm going to take the first one. This is by Digvijay from our participants today. He's asking if you can share your experience of using different data collection platforms and what are the advantages and limitations of these platforms. And he specifically asked the question-based timestamp, is it available in any of these platforms?
Yeah, so the first answer me the last question. Yes, each and every digital data collection platform nowadays have timestamp. Even if the Google form, which is a free, is having a timestamp of a starting time, end time, and the submission times that you will get. Now the decision about the taking which platform to choose, as I have already told you, is would be based on the requirement of your organization. Suppose you are not having a budget, then you will use a Google Forms as well. But Google Forms are having a lot of limitations. Data security is a problem with Google Forms, and also there are fields that are not available with Google Forms, a lot many fields like audio audits, text audits, uh, 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 or, or or GPS locations that no, GPS location is the thing that is available nowadays with the most of the platforms. But of course, audio audits and then the sensor data and all these things are not possible to collect with the free digital data collection platforms like Google Forms. But of course, otherwise, most of the digital data collections are having a similar kind of protocols. They follow similar kind of things, means they are based on some similar kind of softwares. Mostly they are based on ODK, which is open data kit platform. But ODK is open is also a good platform. But if your organizations have budget, you should go for the more professional ones, because while doing a data collection, if you need some help, probably you would like to ask somebody. And ODK is an open data source platform, so you just cannot ask the help. Or even if you will ask the help, that will come probably after 2 days or 3 days. So you would want to make sure that if any problem arises, it is somebody is is there to help you immediately. So that all things you need to take care. Otherwise, each and every platform that digital data collection platform is same. But there are like Qualtrics or SurveyMonkey kind of a survey that are good for the web data collection. Whereas there are ODK and Survey CTO or Kobo, they are good with the mobile data collection actually. So that will depend on your workflow that you are going to have for your project actually, whether you are going to collect digital data, data on a mobile, or whether you are going to collect it through web, and what kind of fields you would need inside your form design, what complexity you need inside your form design. Because with Google Form, you cannot design very complex surveys, whereas with ODK and that you can do. But in Qualtrics, again, you cannot have a very complex design. With the SurveyMonkey kind of thing, you cannot have a complex design inside your form. So again, it depends on the overall workflow. If the things are complex, you just need to find a very complex software, and if the things are simple and low budget, you just need to go with the Google Form, etc. Am
So
I
in
making sense?
continuation to this, another participant has asked if you could share the names of the platforms which permit audio audits or text audits.
Yeah, already I have to in my last answer I have told you that there are sorry there are few platforms that one sec. Okay. So there are Survey CTO, ODK. These data collection platform. Kobo is also there, which can collect the audio audits and text audit actually inside those forms. They can also Survey CTO can also collect the sensor data. So it can also go up to the extent whether when collecting the data, your enumerator was inside the home or it was outside the home, because the light that was falling onto his device can capture those sensors. Sensors can capture those data, so you can find out whether your enumerator was moving, or he was stationary. All this kind of a thing also you can collect. So yes, there are different platforms that gives you the different advantages actually. So as far as your question is concerned, for audio audit and text audit, they can be captured inside the Survey CTO and Kobo also.
All right, sir. So the next question that we have is in the context of the recent changes in CSR rules. So one of our participants wants to know how can M&E be used for impact assessment of CSR projects?
I'm not sure about this because in which context this question has been asked, means in which rule, in context of which rule this question has been asked. But otherwise, the digital platform certainly can be used for any M&A related work where you need to do the digital data collection. Can I get a little bit more context for this question actually? What rules?
All right, Asha, if you're online, would you like to elaborate on your question?
We can go ahead with the next question, and when Asa
All
is
right.
online, we can just
Yes,
answer
sir.
our.
Yes, sir. So the next question is from Madhava.
Yeah.
Does the signature of data provider on the paper form make data more authentic? If yes, how can this be addressed through digital data collection tools? Are there any examples of preload external data usage in a survey? And can you also touch upon the consent component in survey? Where is it needed and any examples for that?
See, as far as signature is concerned, yes, on digital data collection, you can also collect a signature on a device. You can collect a thumbnail also. So there are a lot of ways you can just, as a consent, you can just capture this photo of a participant also with his consent. That if you allow, if you are consenting for this survey to be taken place at your home or at with you, can you just give me, allow me to take your picture? So if person is allowing, or if picture is not possible, you can just ask them to sign on a device, because uh, these days all the smartphones are touch based, so you can just sign it on a device itself. There is a field, there are ways inside the digital data collection where consent, where respondent can sign on the screen as well. So of course it is possible. Similarly, preloading will be effective when you are doing a data collection in different phases, like you are just doing a you are having a longitudinal study where you are collecting data in a collecting information about the respondent with the when you are enrolling them for your intervention, so which will be called a baseline data. After doing some intervention, you would be doing a midline surveys also to know the effect of your intervention. And at that time of moment, like the basic information of the participants, like his name, age, his house number, everything you can preload, rather than asking it to the respondent again, because respondent might feel irritated if you ask them certain things again and again, which are very normal, which are not going to change, like his address, his age, because according to the age, I mean date of birth, the date of birth is going to be the same, so no need to ask them again and again those things actually. So you can just preload in those information inside your form design itself. Similarly, if you are having some uh, you are going to use some government data, like district or towns, or all those information you can uh, inside your form itself. So the preload can be handy in such kind of a situation actually.
All right, thank you, sir. There's one more question
Yeah,
from
sure.
Raju Lakshmi. She's asking which platform suits qualitative research the most, and secondly, if there is one platform that you would like to suggest for students specifically, researchers or students, for overall comprehensive data collection, then which would that be?
See, for the students, I would suggest them to go with the ODK because it's an open source platform. If you, but of course, that would require you to buy a survey on a Google. So if your budget allows you, you should go with the professional data collection platform like SurveyCTO, Kobe, or Kobo, or Qualtrics, uh, uh, because. Uh, because if you are in some kind of a trouble, there should be somebody to help you out and also to guide you through, because you are still a new person, you are learning a lot of things. So if you are having some questions while designing your survey, you can just ask them to help you out with this thing. So this is the one thing. And the other thing is that if you are doing a qualitative data collection, you would like to make sure that you are recording the interviews. There should be a facility to record the interviews. There should be a facility to enter the lot, a big paragraph inside of one particular question, because if you are typing in the answer, you need to uh, open-ended answer. They need to have a facility to enter the long answers as well. So these if you so if you are going to do a qualitative data collection, then the platforms that allows you to record the audio, video, and enter a long answer would be the best one. And in that regard, Google Forms might not work for you, but of course, ODK, Survey C2, and Kobo could work for you specifically for this.
Thank you, sir. There's one more question. Can you recommend some agencies in India who offer customized data collection platform service?
See, customize is a completely different genre actually. If we will talk about that, if you talk about customized data collection, that means designing a platforms according to your requirements, which is not the ideal thing, because if you will sit designing a platform, then it might create a lot of trouble for you because it requires a testing and everything. So basically, you would like to go with the already tried and tested platforms like ODK, Survey City, or Kobo, because that they have been used by thousands of users across the world. Actually, they are already, and of course, with whatever experience I have so far, there are no other things that you can imagine outside these platforms are already providing you, because they are just in context where in context with their thousands of customer, and they are just improving things day by day actually. So rather than going for the customization of a software or something like that, you just go for the already available tested platforms like ODK, Survey, CTO things. Now, if you are talking about the customization of survey, yes, of course, these agencies can customize your survey according to your requirement. But whatever they will be having inside their platform, like whatever field they will be having, that are going to be those only. They will not design a particular field for you, going to design a particular required field for you. Uh, but it is sure that most of the things that are popular in the world these days with the digital data collection, those are there inside those platforms already actually. So rather than inventing a new thing for each and every project, I would suggest you to go with what is already available in the market and is already time tested and trusted actually. Am I making sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. These were really insightful learnings for us. Thank you so much for taking out time and sharing your experiences with us.
Yeah.
Now, moving ahead, I'll request Yatin to join.
Hello, can you start sharing the screen?
Yes, Vikas, can you
Yeah,
unshare
sure.
your presentation? Yeah.
So we are at the end of today's session. At the end, we are just want to brief you all about the India Evaluation Case Competition 21, under which we are holding today's webinars event. I am Yatin Divakar. I am a co-leader of Evaluate Asia and co-founder and co-leader of Evaluate India, and a core group member of Evaluation Community of India, and a PhD scholar at IIT Bombay currently. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the case competition is a competition for students in India or from India to learn and showcase their skills in monitoring and evaluation. Teams of 4 to 5 students, which may belong to the same institution or different institutions, can participate in this event. On the day of the competition, teams will receive an evaluation case for which they will have to prepare a submission in defined format in a span of 6 hours. A panel of juries will judge the submissions against predefined criteria, and feedback will be provided to all the teams, and best teams will be selected from this. Through a couple of more webinars, we will cover some basics of evaluation in the coming month. And a short training session is also being planned with the participating teams to explain them more about the case competition. To know more about the case competition, can you go to the next slide? To know more about the case competition, you can visit our website. We will also paste this in the chat box. We will be updating the website in the coming weeks. It has just been launched yesterday with detailed guidelines, rules, competition related other materials, some resources, etc. And the registration link to the IECC, the case competition, is present on the home page. Please go to the website, and if you feel anything more should be added to it, please let us know. Next slide. Yeah, this brings us to the last segment for the day, which is vote of thanks, which is a pleasant duty that I am doing today. Firstly, I thank our speaker of the day, Vikas Aroraji, for taking out time to regularly support our team, IECC team, and presenting today and explaining all the queries which came up. I also thank EcoAI for providing the Zoom platform for this meeting. All the volunteers have been working hard for last few weeks for the webinar and for the competition overall, over a month now. I thank them all. A lot of work is to be done yet and looking forward to continued support from them. I also thank all the participants who have attended today and engaged to the question and answer session. I request you all to spread the news about the webinars and the India evaluation case competition among your student friends in India. For our overseas friends, I encourage you to look at the World Case Competition website and try to encourage students in your home country to participate in it. Hopefully, you will start a national case competition soon. Thanks everyone for joining. Namaste.
Namaskar. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone.